Please help me welcome our first speaker, General Jack Kean, a retired four-star general and former Vice Chief of Staff of the United States Army, and a defense analyst currently serving as the chairman of the board for the Institute for Study of War. Please join me in welcoming General Kean.
Change! Regime change in Iran! Change! Regime change in Iran! Change! Regime change in Iran!
Thank you. Thank you, my Iranian American friends and the friends here of the Iranian people. You know, so much has happened since the last time we met in front of the United States State Department back in June. I believe that 2019 will be remembered as a turning point in the struggle for the Iranian people's freedom. As you know, in May of 2018, President Trump exited the nuclear deal after attempting to fix it for over 1 year with our European allies. They did not want to cooperate, so he left and began to impose comprehensive sanctions on the Iranian regime. In my judgment, the pressure that is on the regime today is the most that I have seen in over 39 years watching the Islamic Republic of Iran and what it has done to its own people and what it has done to the Middle East in destabilizing it.
Terrorist Rouhani out of New York now! Terrorist Rouhani out of New York now! Terrorist Rouhani out of New York now! Terrorist Rouhani out of New York now!
The foundation in Iran is beginning to crumble. You know what's happening. Currency is devalued, inflation is spiraling out of control, Iran's oil exports are literally drying up, civil unrest is growing, and the Iranian people know it's the Mullahs that are the cause of the problem, not the United States. The Mullahs, when the nuclear deal was put together in 2015, the Mullahs got $130 billion as a result of sanction relief. What did they do with that money? Did they do that to help the Iranian people? Did they use that money to increase their economy? They took that money and spent it on the war in Syria, toppling the regime in Yemen, buying rockets and missiles for the Hezbollah and the Hamas. That's what they did with that money, and the Iranian people know it, and they're fed up with it. The Iranian people know that they, as people, are being sacrificed to feed Iran's ambitions and aggression in the Middle East and to dominate and control the Middle East. The United States and Iran today, as we stand here, are on very different but parallel paths. What do I mean? The United States path is maximum pressure using sanctions with the purpose of bringing the Iranians to the negotiating table to make a better deal, no nuclear weapons, no ballistic missiles, and stop the aggressive and malign behavior in the Middle East. Most of that was not in the original deal. So that is what the purpose of the sanctions are. However, the Iranians have been refusing to negotiate. What is the Iran's path? They're on a different path, but it's parallel. Their path is using kinetic escalation, military force, to create a crisis in the Middle East that will put pressure on the U.S. allies to force the United States to stop the sanctions. And how is this working? Iran has shot down 3 drones. It has seized and stabilized seized and sabotaged oil tankers. It has attacked Saudi pipelines and pump stations. And as we all witnessed 10 or 11 days ago, they attacked one of the largest oil fields in the world. This is an egregious act of war on the Iranians' part, the purpose of which is attacking the world's economy, because the world's economy is dependent on Middle East oil. And what they want to do is force a global recession. As a result of that, they're hoping that pressure would be put on the United States to reduce the sanctions. What are the results of all of that? The results of that, the United States hasn't decreased the sanctions, they have increased the sanctions. Also, President Rouhani and his people come to the UN, and they've been here for days, and now they know that as a result of their actions, they are further isolated, the Iran regime, politically, diplomatically, and economically, in a way that they have never been since the Islamic Revolution took over 39 years ago.
Terrorist Rouhani out of UN now, now, now! Terrorist Rouhani out of UN now, now, now! Terrorist Rouhani out of UN now, now, now! Terrorist Rouhani out of UN now, now, now!
Okay, and just yesterday, France, the UK, and Germany have now sided with the Trump regime to support sanctions and do it comprehensively and to force the Iranians to stop their behavior. That is progress.
Yes, Mullahs no, they are terrorists, they must go. Yes, Mullahs no, they are terrorists, they must go. Yes, Mullahs no, they are terrorists, they must go.
Okay. What will the Mullahs do? What are the Mullahs going to do? Well, first of all, their kinetic attacks that I gave you and listed them for you, all of that has backfired because sanctions haven't been reduced and they're isolated more than ever. And this major attack that they did 10 days ago, they've come before the United Nations after the United States has declassified the evidence and showed the evidence that the Iranians are lying. The Iranians conducted that attack, not the Houthis. And all the evidence is in the United Nations for the people there to see. They are lying as they normally do. They are caught in a bold-faced lie and a destructive attack. And just think about where their head is. Can you imagine? 10 or 11 days ago, before the UN General Assembly, the Iranians conduct such a destructive attack on one of the largest oil fields in the world, and then come here with that bold-faced lie, and now they're being challenged. Where is their head? I think they're brain dead, absolutely brain dead in what they did, because it has backfired on them in a way that they never could have imagined. So their lies have blown up in their face. Now, President Rouhani is speaking this morning, maybe speaking right now, pretty close. And it's predictable. It is predictable what we are going to hear because we have heard it for over 39 years, no matter who from the regime is talking about it. The first Rouhani lie will be, Iran is not the aggressor in the Middle East. It's the United States that's the aggressor. The United States brought its armies into the Middle East and destabilized it. What's the truth? Well, first of all, they were multinational forces, not just the United States Army, and they liberated Kuwait and Iraq. And I'm not going to argue over Iraq, but the fact is it was liberated. That is the truth of it. The second truth is, since the Iranian Revolution, it is the Iranians that have been killing Americans. They blew up the U.S. Embassy in Kuwait. in Lebanon. They blew up our Marine barracks in Lebanon. They blew up our Air Force barracks in Saudi Arabia. They killed several hundred Americans in doing that. And what did we do about it? Nothing. The United States did not retaliate over the course of 3 presidents. That was a huge strategic mistake on our part. And that is one of the reasons why this escalating violence is still continuing. And in Iraq, during the war in Iraq, for 4 years, they trained the Iraqi Shia militia with advanced IEDs that could take down a tank to kill as many Americans as they possibly could, 600 at a minimum, possibly about 1,500. That is the truth of the Iranian behavior and aggression in the Middle East. The truth also is, while this aggression is going on for decades, the Mullahs regime grew more authoritarian and more repressive of their own people, the Iranian people. The next Rouhani lie will be, we're here for peace and stability in concert with our allies in the region. That is what our goal is. What is the truth? They destabilized Lebanon, took it over, created the Hezbollah as one of their proxies. They are fueling the civil war in Syria and in Yemen, and in both countries have created a human catastrophe in terms of genocide and killing of innocent people. They are attacking Israel through their proxies on a regular basis. They are undermining the government of Iraq, the government of Saudi Arabia, the government of the UAE, and the government of Bahrain. That is the truth of it. That goes against the Rouhani lie that we are here for peace and stability. Nothing could be more of a bold-faced lie than that. Rouhani will go home in his airplane after those lies and after what they have been doing for the last several months, more isolated in the world community than they have ever been in the 39 years. So what are they going to do now? What will the Iranians do? They will offer the opportunity for negotiations, as they have done, if the Trump administration will do what? Give up the sanctions. Not happening. This is the first president that has stood up to the Iranians in a consequential way, and he means business about it. The second thing, I believe, is the Iranians will continue what they know best, and that is using kinetic escalation and military force to create an even greater crisis. Now listen to me. If that happens, this will likely mean the United States will have to conduct some form of military retaliation against them to stop it. Sanctions will not stop it. That's what I mean, parallel path. Iranians, kinetic escalation, military force, United States sanctions. They're not crossing. We have to stop that with force. In the late 1980s, Ronald Reagan, after having learned about Iranians' aggressive behavior that I outlined previously, when Iran was stopping the oil flow in the Persian Gulf, and one of our ships got hit by an Iranian mine, he attacked an IRGC naval base and destroyed 6 naval frigates and bombed an Iranian oil field. We will likely have to do something similar like that today. And there are plenty of IRGC targets in Syria. We wouldn't even have to go near Iran to cause the kind of pain and impose cost on them. This is the only thing that they truly understand. And the issue is, the Mullahs are blinded. You know this. The Mullahs are blinded by their own ambition and by their own paranoia. They cannot appear weak, not only to the world, but more importantly, to the Iranian people. What they fear more than anything else or anyone else is not the sanctions. It's not the Arabs in the region. Nor is it Israel. Nor even is it the United States. What the Iranians fear most, and you know it, are the Iranian people. That's who they fear.
Regime change in Iran by the people of Iran. By the people of Iran. Regime change in Iran by the people of Iran.
The Iran regime, just think about it. These repressive authoritarian regimes all behave in the same manner. They push out, they're aggressive, they're ambitious, they trample over their own people and other people's people. Look at North Korea, look at China, they're doing it. But what they all have in common, their fundamental weakness is they're very repressing their own people. That is what they fear the most, is those people eventually taking charge. The President of the United States said yesterday that the Iranian regime is like a malignant tumor and it must be eradicated. That is the path that we have got to be on. And I say to the people of Iran, we here in America, we understand. We support you. We are with you. The Mullahs are now weaker than ever before. The only objective that makes any sense for the future stability of the Middle East and for the Iranian people is a free Iran. A free Iran. A free Iran. God bless the Iranian people. God bless our Iranian American friends and all others who are friends of the Iranian people. And certainly, God bless America. Thank you very much.
Change, change, change! Regime change in Iran!